nothing but Dawn of War music in the background instead of the game music for StarCraft 2.
Wow, nice.
I'm not complaining. We should have done that for Select, actually, considering. Select was indeed a competitive Dawn of War player. You might not know that, but there you go.
2 times World Cyber Games champion. It's something to brag about for sure.
Yep. Oh, Sheth, I don't want to jinx anything, but it seems to be okay. Yes, good, good. Right. Stop talking now, Sheth, immediately. Thanks for the busy, guys. God damn, I wish you could just have busy on as a default. Oh, great. That's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that. We can get the positivity back in this damn tournament. I bring you alternate attack Socke. He is in the baby blue trunks, and he is playing Protoss. Yes? Hmm?
Yes, he is, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was G.
Okay, but it's Protoss.
Okay, just check. And this is FXO's, or at least formerly FXO, the artist formerly known as Chef. He is in the red trunks, and he is to the northwest of the SHOUTcraft plateau, playing Zerg.
And we do have the probe going out to scout after the pylon, of course, is going to go scout here. He hasn't scouted that Chef is there, so he is going to go ahead and turn around, obviously, going to go scout top left. And this might force him to go for a forge first, or he might be brave enough to go for that Nexus. And by the amount of the probes queued up, it looks like he is just going to go for a Nexus here. Understanding that Chef isn't a person that's going to open up with a 9 pool with anything earlier than that. So he's going to go ahead and be nice and greedy and grab that Nexus.
Yes, however, Chef does like to go in with this big 10 Zergling push after his initial 4, so if he thinks that he can do damage, then he will do it. And if Socke is going for that early expand, he's going to have no defense of any description. He will probably follow this up with a forge, but still even only 1 cannon against 14 Zerglings, that is not enough.
Yeah, and he's actually getting the Nexus down on 15 here. Sees the spawning pool has gone down before the hatchery, doesn't really want to take any risks. Is going to make sure that probe has maximum efficiency, just mines 1 patch from there, returns it back, and we'll go back down to build that
Interesting
forge.
maneuver right here by Sheth. Sheth is able to grab his expansion earlier because he went spawning pool, no extractor, and then hatchery.
Indeed, it's just pretty much standard pool into an expansion. Socke could have denied it though, but unfortunately, you know, he wasn't really concentrating on that, more about getting that forge up. And we do have 2 lings. I love the decision only to get 2 lings. You don't, he can't get it in there. There's no point to build 4. There's no point to build 6. You can get rid of the probe and just maximize your economy. Just by getting that 1 extra drone out makes a world of difference.
And here comes the interception. He looks for it right here. He might be able to nibble that probe some time in the not too distant future. Overlord's moving out into good positions. Once again, Socke is extremely well versed in his ZVP. He's incredibly good at it, so he will no doubt be well aware of the placement of these Overlords. He could pick them off at some point in the not too distant future, but we really don't expect to see any kind of Stargate play right here. Looks like Socke is looking to play a pretty standard game, having lost with his Socke Stargate attempt.
Yeah, and that probe does get killed off. Wasn't allowed back in the base, unfortunately. Was backstabbed.
That's nasty. I mean, that's like just shutting the door on your best friend when the zombie horde comes. That is... Socke, you are so cold.
Yeah, and I love how Chef is just cutting corners to get that expansion out even early. He's going for a 3rd base now. And basically, the cutting corners I mentioned, what he's done is he didn't send out a scouting drone because he knows every Protoss will go forge expand here. It's just completely standard to do so. And then he only got 2 Zerglings as well. The problem with that is he can't really kill the scouting probe that's going to go check for that 3rd base. And he's going to play pretty much open and without denying anything, without trying to deny scouting options.
Yep, he's just going to go for a straight-up macro game and say, hey, you know what, I'm just a better macro player than you. The question is he? I mean, Socke is just so strong when it comes to long games.
And the question is Socke going to go for a Stargate after this Cybercore? I mean, he's only got 1 gas, so I don't think he can here, really, and I don't think he will because of that 1 gas. So he's going to go straight into the Research Warp Gate, maximizing out on minerals, getting as many probes out as he can. And the thing is, with going Stargate, it was really good, and probably the only person that still does it is MC, simply because Zerg players, have just got the timing down perfectly with the Evolution Chamber, and they're just so defensive. They get an extra queen out, they creep spread extra early, and so on.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a massive amount of creep spread from Sheth, honestly, at this point. I mean, he has now connected those 2 bases. Admittedly, that's very, very easy to do on this map. It's not exactly up to the standard of Morrow's creep spread that we've seen in this tournament.
And no, not at all, actually. And looking at this, though, with Chef, I'm just looking at his base while you were saying that, is that Chef is so smart. He moves in an Overlord, sees that there's not a 2nd gas in the main base. He has another Overlord and checks for the 3rd and 2nd gas. Well, the 3rd and 4th gas, I should say, on the natural as well. He knows that the Socke is saving up for a lot of minerals to add on these 5 gateways. He knows that 6 gate is coming simply because
that ain't
gas.
6 gate, bro. That is not 6 gate at all. That is
a million
8
zealots
gate.
coming.
That is 8 gate. I haven't seen that ever, in fact. 8 gate pressure right here from Socke. That is some sick, crazy, scary, terrifying stuff. It's a double 4 gate. What can we say?
And now he's going in. He's going to scout the gases again now. You see on the natural he's moved in with the overlords. You see, okay, now you've got the assimilator. In the main base, okay, now you've got the assimilator. He knows that all the minerals have to go somewhere. Think about it. What can you place minerals in? It's either going to be a fast expansion, which he's changed for like a fast third. Obviously not that. It's not going to be a bunch of pylons. It's not going to be a bunch of forges. It has to be gateways. Overlord comes in from the back, sees additional 4 gateways have been added on here. And does he get he sees the 5th one as well. He knows exactly
That's brilliant
what's
information. That's absolutely fantastic. 6, he spots 6. That is perfect. And he has to, is he going to spot another? He might, he spots another. Perfect information. And now Sheth is absolutely prepared for this. More to the point though, can he hold this kind of pressure?
The thing is, he hasn't really squeezed that many drones out, and he's got to be careful. Do not lose these links.
Oh, he needs to leave immediately. He loses a couple. It could have been a lot worse, I suppose, but still, that just not going to help him one little bit. Big pressure coming in right here from Socke. These guys have +1 as well, so he's really going to get more roaches out and less lings at this point. That +1 is going to make short work of a large ling count, and Sheth looking to defend, and I think he's going to lose his 3rd here, honestly. It's looking very risky.
22 lings in production, I'm not sure, though. I mean,
he might be able to grab him out of position, and he looks for it, and those sentries have barely any energy on them because he used all of the force fields earlier to clean up the Zerglings. What a perfect attack by Sheth, and honestly, I think that Sheth did that whole little run-by thing on purpose. Either that or Socke horrendously overreacted to it.
And now he just instantly goes back to drones. He didn't get up to that key 70-ish drone mark or plus because he scouted all these gateways. He cut at 44, built a million units, and now is in a great position to drone up very, very heavily behind this.
Now, that attack could have been so much worse. I mean, if Socke actually had sentry energy, that could have gone a completely different way. The fact of the matter is he had nothing. He had maybe enough for 1 force field, and he actually had to go into full retreat to save everything he could, and he took horrendous losses in the process.
Indeed, and Twilight Council has been added on, not making any use of it, hasn't tried to use it. He's moving out now, and Socke knows he's behind. He knows he needs to do something ASAP. 11 more drones been added on now.
That's a big warp in right here from Socke as well. Looking to try and clean up this roach force. Sheth, I can't imagine Sheth's going to stick around. He'll split his force in 2. Zergling's coming in to try and act as a rear guard. He doesn't have the unit count to crush a force of this size, though.
Indeed. And let's have a look at the unit tab now. 71 drones to 50 probes. Nothing but units being made of another macro hatch has been added on, or sorry, a single macro hatch has been added on here, so you can mass out a lot of units. And now the pressure is going to continue from Socke here.
Yeah, Socke coming in right now. The army supply is very equal. There are more roaches on the way. It's going to depend entirely on positioning right here. Once again, a very low sentry count and not a lot of energy on them at all. There's, in fact, a lot of these sentries don't even have enough for 1 force field. So that is perhaps a very risky thing to do. He could have gone in there. Sheth, I think, was feeling a little bit cautious, didn't want to go for it just yet. But once again, this gives him loads of timing. He's even building forward spine crawlers. By forward, I am talking forward. He is outside the natural right now. He is spreading creep all the way over to his 3rd base. Very smart indeed. And he's got a good defensive line to really throw back anything that Socke sends his way.
And he's scouted with lings on the right-hand side. He sees no expansion. He's moving another ling's like, hey, guess what's up? An expansion. That's where you've gone. So he knows now that Socke is pulling back, and he very well may go for a huge attack onto this base before any fortification is put up.
Sheth is playing so incredibly well here. He really, really is. He's got Socke's number the entire way through. The army supply count's now in favor of Sheth. The worker supply count is now in favor of Sheth. It's 118 to 157 right now. The only thing that Socke's really got going in terms of this attack force is simply the +1 upgrade and the +2 that's on his way. A couple of initial units taken out right there, and Sheth's just playing nice and patiently, and why wouldn't he? He has no reason to go in here.
Yeah, Socke is not looking for a fight whatsoever. He definitely doesn't want to. He's just trying to pick off a few units, pick off a few creep tumors as he's done, and he's just trying to get this 3rd base up. He's now transitioning into the robotics facility. Definitely will be wanting to follow that up with a robotics bay. And Chef is just sending an overlord to make sure that expansion is going up, to make sure how many probes are there and so on.
There's a catastrophic number of lings coming in, and that is probably the only time you'll ever hear that phrase. A catastrophic number of lings, as in this is going to be a catastrophe for Socke if he goes in there with loads. Look, Sheth-A, it's Sheth-A. What the hell is Sheth-A? Sheth-A, yes indeed. He's got. I'm going to give him an accent now. It's Sheth-A. Yes. He's going to go in and throw this catastrophic number of links right at his opponent. He's wasted tons of force field energy with that previous engagement. There's the blink as Socke tries to take a few, but he's going to take some losses in the process as the Zerglings go in. Now, a lot of that was cleaned up, but barely any force field energy available right here for Socke. He threw it all away at that previous engagement at the front line right here, and Sheth's got a ton of roaches, sitting on 26 already, more Zerglings on the way, +1 missile attack coming in, and he's going to add Hydralisk to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you adding the Hydros in is great. Obviously, he understands he's playing against a Soul Gateway army mix with good upgrades and good blink usage. The problem is he doesn't really want to engage here, definitely doesn't want to engage here, especially against all this blink stuff. But he's adding the Hydras to deal with what he can see, but he's not understanding what he can't see, which is the robotics facility, which is the robotics bay being added on now. So when he switches over into Colossus, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. He's now transitioning into Hydra, Ling, Infester, and it's going to be pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah, that's not particularly pleasant at all. Roach Hydralisk is often cut in half by a late game death ball from Socke, and to be honest, Socke is really into the death ball right there. The Observer's in position. Here come the roaches, and it looks like we're going to have a straight up fight right here. The question is, will he be able to do real damage? The force fields haven't done an amazing job of dividing this force. However, Socke with great blink stalker management. Sheth is going in for the kill, however. Socke retreating, even though I think he could actually fight this. Trying to retreat to another defensive position. Looking to warp in some reinforcement. Sheth backing off once again. He has more Hydralisks being added to the mix. It's a lot of DPS, and Socke a fairly inconclusive engagement, and Sheth still with a larger army.
Yeah, indeed, and a million Lings come in to actually reinforce this army. He's going to try and get us around now, maybe, but no, he can't. And the Colossus now is beginning to be built. It's at 30 out of 75. +3 is very close to be finishing now, and that is definitely going to catch Chef off by this, because I mean, he's been scouting so well the entire game, but now he thinks he knows what's happening, but he doesn't quite understand.
He is not entirely aware of what's going on at all. He doesn't see the robotics in either case, and that's a big problem right there. Another expansion going down for Socke right there, expanding to his 4th, which means Sheth will, needless to say, want to try and take a 5th at some point in the not too distant future. What I'd like to see from Sheth right here is some of the things we saw against Sarce, these big, wide open, sweeping arcs with the speedlings, taking massive map control and actually coming around with a huge attack from the rear. Now, my concern with Sheth right here is he's going in with unupgraded Lings. I mean, he's got 92 Zerglings and no upgrades on them whatsoever, and now there's a Colossus in the mix, and he's fighting in a very narrow choke point.
And the Colossus hasn't yet been revealed. Socke doesn't really want to give that information away yet. It'd be a really bad time to give that away because Thermalance isn't done, the second Colossus isn't done, but he's going to keep everything together now.
Yeah, he has to. He has to resist this. I mean, this is a very, very large attack indeed. The initial Vanguard of Stalkers has been annihilated right now. This Colossus is going to pick up a ton of kills. It's on 15 now. Every shot is annihilating Zerglings in a big way, but a great fungal growth nails down the Colossus, and now Socke is in a bit of a difficult position. However, Sheth lost a ton of Zerglings in that attack.
And now Socke is getting a bit overconfident here. Doesn't really want to look to engage that too much. And 58 Lings are in the making now. Adrenal glands as well. +2 missile attacks. +1 carapace for the units on the ground. A Baneling nest has been added on now, but we're pretty much sure that we're not going to see any more Hydras added on in because of that Colossus now, that +3 Colossus.
Yeah, they cut Hydras apart so incredibly fast. I'm very surprised that we didn't see melee upgrades, honestly. Really surprised. We've had no melee upgrades in the entire game. Considering the amount of Zerglings, I mean, he's made over about 250 Zerglings, and he's had no melee upgrades at all. Admittedly, Adrenal Glands is better than a melee upgrade, I would imagine, considering that's an extra 25% attack speed anyway. But and actually, yeah, that would work out pretty well, considering Socke actually has no armor upgrades yet, although he is working on one. Baneling's on the way as well. We could be looking for some more drop action. We've got Ventral Sacs on the way and Pneumaticized Carapace for that. And once again, it's the 5 upgrades. Missile attacks coming in as well. It's an interesting mix, kind of a curious one, but it could be effective.
Indeed, it could be, TotalBiscuit. It very well could be. The problem I'm worried about, though, is all these, well, not for Chef more like, but more so for Socke here. He is falling a little bit behind in upgrades now. Only is 3-1, needs to keep pumping them out. But the thing is, how is he going to deal with all these fungal growths onto his units? And he doesn't really have that much to deal with this.
He's got a couple of High Templar, not a huge number, I have to add, and we're also getting a couple of, well, getting a shield upgrade, in fact. We can expect to see Archons in the not-too-distant future. But yes, it is difficult. He's in a difficult position right now. He is sitting on 4 bases, which is great, and this is not where Sheth really wants to be. Sheth is He's not mined out on his natural. He hasn't been mining all that heavily over there, I have to say. And so he can maintain this mining for the time being, spread over 4 bases. He might want to look to take a 5th, but still. Socke now getting into an aggressive position, but this is a highly immobile force, and he has to be very, very careful. He also has no sentries. He's relying primarily on the Colossus to deal with that. So we'll have to see how effective that's going to be. Initial wave of Zerglings is annihilated by the Colossus. That big range is helping him an awful lot. This is a horrible place to fight right here. Oh, great feedback right there. 3 Infestors popped. There's a 4th and a 5th. Oh, every Infestor annihilated. Socke with perfect feedback.
Uh-oh, but these Banelings are going to go to town a little bit on the Colossus.
And a big warp in as well. Big warp in. He could actually get a good Baneling drop, and he does. That force is annihilated. However, I don't know if Sheth really has the firepower here, because the Colossus remained alive, and that means dead Hydras.
43 Roaches in production, 30 Lings, and an Infestor going to come to reinforce this army. The thing is, yes, there's a lot of Colossus, but there is no meat in front of the Colossus anymore. Everything's dead. And these Roaches with speed are just going to go and walk up straight to the Colossus.
Sheth just got heavily supply blocks, which is very unfortunate right there. Not that he can... Well, I mean, he can relieve it, he can sort that out, but 44 Roaches, that is a huge number. And if he goes in right now, he's going to cripple Socke's forces. Even with good Blink Stalker management, it's still 44 Roaches with +2 firepower right there. And once those Stalkers are down, those Colossus will be forced into full retreat. They are very slow. They will be picked off. And there we go. A lot of Roaches were killed off. And reinforcements coming in from Socke. He inexplicably keeps every single one of those alive.
And nice harassment at the top of the base by Socke2, blinking in with the use of the Observers, trying to snipe that spawning pool while this attack is going on in the mid.
Yeah, very, very nice. And he goes for it. He's able to do some damage. Admittedly, that base is mostly mined out. The question is, will he be able to pick up any tech? I don't think so. Not with that amount of firepower. Don't think he really can. I mean, he can take a queen, so there's nothing too bad about that whatsoever. Sheth's still in a good position, though. The size of his army, however, has now fallen way behind Socke's after what should have been a very successful engagement turned disastrously in Socke's favor.
Yeah, there's just too many Colossus now. We're at 5 Colossus in total. There's 2 idle ones as well on the right-hand side. And there's just nothing he has to deal with it. He's trying to scramble to build Corruptors out together. Only 3 in production because his economy is in a horrible state right now. 46 drones, more aggressive Blink Stalkers coming down the south location, looking to pick off a queen, harass more. Excellent play by Socke, really using Blink Stalkers to maximum effect.
Yep, and doing the job, no doubt about that. Annihilating as many drones as possible, and the economy of Sheth is falling to pieces. And that was a really nice fungal growth, though. And here comes the counterattack, a second fungal. He annihilates one, he looks for another, and now routing Socke's forces as rapidly as possible. Never underestimate Sheth, and those feedbacks totally ineffective because, of course, all of the energy had already been used.
Socke making a critical mistake here is actually, okay, now he's moving 3 Colossus. They were just waypointed there. They weren't waypointed with the army. Those 3 Colossus would have won the fight already, and I think he's got enough. Actually, he attacks his own High Templar.
Oh, what?
So careful.
What? Oh my god, that is absolutely critical. And right now, Socke is now in full retreat, taking fire from the Corruptors. There's not a huge number of them. Looks for another fungal. He doesn't have the firepower just yet, but now here come the reinforcements, and Sheth gives it up. Well,